Hello everybody. Today I'm gonna be doing a video on this little thing about buffs and events, buffs and effects of all Summoners Wars, like buffs, debuffs, and all kinds of effects. I thought this might be very helpful since I have never seen a video on it. I never knew like 95% of it, and I'm gonna be good. And when I read it, I felt like I know everything about anything in Summoner's War now, like all the buffs, debuffs, and effects. So it's in Korean, and I would like to give a shout out to Cure Base, who is the original author of this posting on the Korean forum. And I'm going to be basically translating everything that he's saying. And I think this will be very helpful for everyone who's playing, or either starting, or like who never knew like the exact value of like buffs or debuffs while playing Summoners War. So yeah, let's go over each things that he mentioned. Okay, so all buffs and debuffs adds up. So for example, if you have 50% buff of attack, and if you have 50% debuff of attack, you're basically same as not having any attack buff or debuff. So 0% increase or decrease. So, and buff erasing effects, so like Siege of Beladion is capable of erasing any buffs or debuffs. So for example, if someone has an immunity, that can be removed by Siege. This was kind of obvious, I think, for many users who use Beladion. All buffs and debuffs have 15% of being resisted. So this is actually pretty interesting, I think. Because when you have 100% accuracy, you'll think all of your effects would hit with 100% win rate, 100% success rate. And this is saying that if even with 100% accuracy or 100% resistance, there is 15% chance that the skill would not have an effect. The debuff or buff would have no effect on the monster. So this is very crucial. I never knew about it. And whenever you level up a skill, the percent increase that's written on each of the skill, like 10% harmful effect increase, will be base percentage plus alpha and not a multiplication. So if it had 50% to defense break, and if the skill up increases it by 25%, it doesn't multiply 1.25 to 50%. It's just adding up to the 50% that there was currently, and it adds up the additional 25%. So this was kind of obvious, but I think it's good to mention it for some of the beginners who never knew about it. So the maximum number of debuff you can do to one mob or object is 10. So this was kind of obvious, I think, for a lot of the Giants B10 users who are putting a lot of dots in. And yeah, and it's going to explain debuffs first. So debuffs. And first of all, attack debuff. So attack debuff debuffs the attack of the enemy for 50%. So for my Lucian, who has about 1800 attack, if he is attack debuff, attack will be reduced down to like 950 or something like that, 900. And this is crucial. I never knew about it. I thought it was like 30% debuff, but the fact that it's 50%, I was very surprised when I first saw it. But yeah, this is actually pretty significant, which is one of the reasons why we want Bernard on the Giant Speed 10, I think, because the damage output of the Giants is just too much, and like somehow if you attack debuff it, all of your monsters survive, and I think this is because of the fact that the attack debuff is halving down the attack damage. Defense break, same thing, it reduces the defense of the enemy by 50%. I think this is one of the reasons why if you defense break someone, your damage increases a lot. Like sometimes it like doubles or triples, and I think this is the reason why, because the defense debuff will be 50%. Interesting about. So this is about glancing hit, and if you're hit with a glancing hit, the damage will be reduced in half, and none of the critical or debuffs will be applied. This is the reason why in Giant Speed 10 the Wind Pixie became a critical mob, because her basic attack basically could reduce, in addition to the 50% debuff that I guess from the Bernard, the Giant's boss would be reduced. If he has glancing hit, his damage will be halved again, so that increases a lot of survivability of the party. Okay, and next one, attack speed debuff. So attack speed debuff is reducing the ATB bar speed, which is speed, by 30%. So it helps you get a lot of turns. This is kind of self-explanatory. Well, heal debuff, like I think this is kind of self-explanatory as well. Silence. This is a very rare skill. I think the only monster that I have is my Ifrit that does silence, I think. Actually, this is not silence. The ancient power is a passive, that silence is a passive only. So silence is an effect that allows you to only auto attack. Interesting. Well, so it's different from the first silence, I think. Dot would deal 5% of the mob's max HP. I think this was discussed earlier, like in previous like videos from other YouTubers or other people. This was kind of obvious, but for those of you who never knew. Okay, so buff disruption. So Megan's second skill. So blocks beneficial effects. So this is a debuff that doesn't allow you to get buffed. And you can't get any of the buffs, I believe, if you have this skill on you. So Megan is probably one of the like primary source of people using this skill. Another one is Chiu, who is a 5-star, one of the only natural non-farmable. Actually, he's the only natural non-farmable 5-star that I have. And his second skill has the same effect, and I really love. I think this is a very crucial thing for a lot of a lot of people when they're doing arena. So important debuff. Taunt. So taunts people and it would hit you. So the taunted monster will only attack you with an auto attack. So this could be very crucial in like sometimes arena, like on certain occasions. And yeah, this is very, very useful debuff, I think. Mark. This is a debuff of the fire nine-tailed fox. What's her name? What is her name? I know the wind one is called Aram. But what is fire? Fire nine-tailed fox. Shihua. So Shihua's one of the Shihua's ability. And what is it? Okay, leaves a branding effect. Okay, so this is called branding effect, and enemies with branding effect would receive 25% additional damage in addition to the like other damages, and this is very interesting. Okay, so this is something we discussed earlier. So this is not silence. This is oblivious. Okay. So oblivious would allow the enemy to not activate any of the passive effects. So for example, if my Dark Ifrit was marked with oblivious, then he will not be able to erase any of the debuffs on his team, which is his passive. So interesting, useful sometimes. Actually, useful skill. And others I don't think is very, the other one I don't think it's very significant enough to actually like discuss about it, so I'm just gonna go to the buffs. So buffs and debuffs are about the same. So attack buff would increase your attack by 50%. Defense buff would increase your defense by 50%. Attack speed buff would increase your attack speed for 30%. Immunity, so none of your debuffs will be taking any effects if you have immunity on there. But as explained earlier, if buff erasing effects are taking effect, if buff erasing effects are like coming in, then this can be removed. And the like representative monster that has this kind of effect is Wind Undyne, which is I think Belfoy. So interesting. Shield, self-explanatory, I think, like absorbs damage or up to a certain amount. Invincibility. Okay, invincibility is self-explanatory except for the fact that the debuffs are going in. So the reason why Chloe's third skill is important, the Chloe's third skill, which is Fanatic, is very crucial, is because it has both invincibility and immunity. So you can't really do anything to like the enemy team for like the entire turn. So this, I think, understanding this is important. Critical buff. Okay, this I think everyone had an idea, but like they didn't know exact amount of the critical buff amount. So it increases your critical rate by 30%. 30%. So if my Lucian was to be, who has 73% crit rate, was to be buffed with critical increase percent, then it would increase the critical rate by 30%. So it would draw it up to 100% crit rate, basically. This effect, I don't know what it's called in English, but it's one of the beast monks, water beast monk uses. I think we can say protection. So whoever is buffed with this effect does not take any damage, and whoever did the buff to the monster would take 50% of the damage of the inflicted damage to the target instead. And yeah, this you will not see that often, but Water Beast Monk has it. And this I don't think you need to know. This I don't think is turn-based heal. It has like that blue cross mark, and I think Water Archangel has it. It basically heals every turn. And Water Applicant Praise, Michelle has it, so it heals you based on whatever the skill says, heals you. And yeah, it's that kind of buff. Critical rate debuff. Okay, so this is what I think Casis' third skill does. So decrease the chance of being attacked with a critical hit of allies. So there's no exact, he doesn't know, the person who wrote this does not really know the exact amount that it reduces, but he's assuming it's 30%. And Drunken Masters and Windsylphid has this effect. Another one is not as important, and I think that's it for the buffs and debuffs. And thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, or if you know something that is different from what I said, please comment below so we can discuss it. And thank you for watching.